Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality, lovers of truth, wisdom, the pursuit of the esoteric path, irreverence and sarcasm. Yes, I felt the need for a rant. No, I thought it was time for another video. It's a nice quiet morning. Thunderstorms have stopped. Oh, how I love thunderstorms. Although I might be biased, being heathen and all. But no gobshites, no people noises. Damn, I love living alone. There was something that came up in the recommended feed on YouTube as I was laying there trying to fully wake up. It being only 6:47 a.m. and not having work to worry about. Regarding that really cringeworthy racist show, Everything's Gonna Be White. Produced by, surprise, surprise, a butthurt black American, of course, right? I've got quite a few things to say on this topic, and I'll share some of my own personal experiences growing up in this convict settlement, to which I would never have and ever will belong. But you'll find that, well, first of all, using the American childish terminology, black and white. Now, there's people from certain parts of India with darker skin than African people. They're not included in that black category, right? And as I keep saying, and I will always say till I'm blue in the face, there's no such thing as a white race. You don't judge race based by skin colour. I am a different race than someone from England or Spain or Norway. Okay? Oh, and before I get any of these comments, which I will delete, there's always one smartass who always thinks, you go through the history of the Indo-Europeans and okay, how far back do you want to go in the anthropological little story there? Right? Oh, and by the way, let me burst the bubble of this smug out of Africa story. There actually have been found skeletons from the earliest period of the evolutionary whatever in places like Java and and even my homeland. So there goes that idea right out the window. But I digress. And of course, this silly, pathetic, purposely racist... Oh no, I said racist. And I didn't try to... Again, if you want to say racist, say racist. If you want to say fascist, say fascist. If you want to say cunt, say cunt. If you want to say feminist, say feminist. Okay, yeah, I will name the channel. There's a channel whose videos I usually get a good little laugh out of from time to time. Better Bachelor, right? But because he's a slave... Oh no, he said the word. Because he's a slave to monetization, and he's basically, as many people, I focus on their protecting their precious monetization, they've become YouTube's bitch. Come on, bitch. Keep walking. This is not the podcast you're looking for. And because they've allowed themselves to become YouTube's bitch, they go through all these different twisting, turning, little meandering paths to say the words that they really want to say, but they can't, because if they say them, their precious monetization will be attacked. So this guy uses a word, he doesn't say feminist, he says effeminist, which sounds absolutely fucking stupid. And I wear the fact that I will never ever be monetized as a badge of honor, because I will never be YouTube's bitch. Thank you. But this blatantly, cringe-worthingly racist documentary. Documentary, what an insult. Anyone, regardless of the percentage of melanin in their skin pigment, sees it for what it is, a blatant, cringeworthy exercise in racism. And it's been ratioed to hell, and Rotten Tomatoes and the other one, I forget the name, IMDb or whatever. It's the audience score for Rotten Tomatoes is 2% approval. And the thing is, with this whole thing, if you dare to criticize it, you are labelled, you guessed it, racist. Right now, that's a good little exercise in Marxist, deconstructionist. People like Trotsky used to like doing this, taking terms and twisting them around to mean something totally different, and enabling the original meaning of the term to lose all meaning, which is the whole point of the exercise, right? Which is what this Me Too movement has done. Real victims of rape have been disrespected out of existence. Because if some whore picks up a random stranger and fucks him and then regrets it, she can Me Too him out of his freedom. Right? Which cheapens and denigrates the real fucking victims. Right? That's what this bullshit does. And just like racist, these days, it really is. It's become George Orwell's 1984. It really has. We're living it now. So if you disagree with any of these fucking mouthy gobshites, you'll be labelled a racist. Which is why I said the other day in my video, if that makes me a racist, then I will be the proudest, biggest racist in the history of the world. Right? Now, the mentality behind this, as I said, I had a black friend I used to work with, Andy his name was, and he was British, so we had Doctor Who and all this cool stuff in common. I know, a dark-skinned person who likes Doctor Who, how dare he, right? And I asked him one day, I go, look, Andy, I know you well enough to be able to ask you now, what do you think of black Americans? He rolled his eyes, and he said in his East London accent, you need to imagine an East London accent here. He goes, oh, don't get me started on those fucking tossers. They give the rest of us a bad name. Quote, unquote. I just found that incredibly funny. Thanks, humidity. And see, even myself online, when I tried to share a little bit of information, i.e., many different people in the history of the world have been slaves at some point. A lot of these people don't want to know about it. Oh, no, they were indentured servants. Well, let me introduce you to a book, shall I? It's called The Irish Slaves by Retta Akamatsu. A-K-A-M-A-T-S-U, for those playing at home. Slavery, indenture, and contract labour among Irish immigrants. Now, what does the back say? We'll read it, shall we? How to deal with the Irish. It was a tricky problem. For years, the answer was to enslave them, sell them, make them someone else's property or someone else's problem. If you thought, now here's the part that I like. If you thought that only Africans or other black races were enslaved in Barbados, West India, the American colonies and beyond, this book will open your eyes. By studying the story of the Irish, you may come to learn that slavery is not a race problem, but a human problem. Did you get that, black Americans? By studying the story of the Irish, you may come to learn that slavery is not a race problem, but a human problem. So, according to this thinking, to this evil, it really is, it's evil. To any rational thinking person, it's fucking evil. Let's just cancel everything out of existence. Tear down statues because, oh, no, it hurts your little fucking feelings. I'm sorry, but that's not the way the world works. Go back to Twitter and fuck off. So, according to this thinking, we should cancel the Roman Empire, destroy all the statues of Caesar Augustus and all the rest of them, because those of us who were actually Europeans at some point during the Roman Empire were actually slaves. We didn't come out of Africa. Oh no, we're actually European and we were slaves. How the fuck? Where's the quote unquote white privilege, right? Yes, many of us who were conquered subjects of the Roman Empire at the time, at one point in time, were slaves. And of course, there was. You watch any of the films made in the 50s about that era, right? There's a great little intro where Richard Burton in the robe. Yes, I know it's religious and everything, but he was brilliant in it. Where he, in the introductory little scene, he says, "Well, the problem with Rome these days is that there's more slaves than citizens, right?" And as I've said it, and I'll keep saying it, Spartacus began a slave revolt. Okay? He was a Hellene and a slave. You see where I'm going with this? So, certain groups of people who get easily butthurt and think what happened 100, 200, 300 years ago directly relates to them need to get their heads out of their backsides, as the lovely Irish would say. And my other friend would probably say, you need to stop acting like a gobshite. And when the Irish start swearing in Gaelic, you're in trouble. I never understand a word, but it's fucking awesome. So you see where I'm going with this? You're being played. Your perception of your understanding of history, in this case, is being purposely skewed so you can be more easily manipulated in what they want you to become. Namely, a mindless, passive, drooling, consuming drone who sits there and does what he's told, gets double jabbed and thinks, oh, I'm going to be free now. And now in this state, New South Wales, today being Friday, the 18th of February, some of the restrictions are being lifted. And next week, the 25th, the indoor mask bullshit is being eliminated and more restrictions are being lifted. Now, mark my words, within the next few weeks, they're going to wait till people settle into a sense of, oh, okay, cool, we can be normal now. Bang! Another variant. Mark my words. Another variant or some other fuckery that they're going to invent out of their backsides. Just wait and see. But yeah, with this sort of black and white thing, I've always had issues with that from my own personal experience coming into this foreign country. I was always treated like the foreigner, like the undesirable foreigner. And when my school career began, especially high school was hell. It was a 99% racist Anglo high school. So being a Hellene with the name I have, who didn't try to kiss their ass by trying to fit in, you can imagine what I went through. It was pure hell. It was because I had the size that they never went physical, because their waist was as big as my thigh even back then. So they did something worse. Some of the worst verbal and especially mental and emotional abuse, which took me years to get over. Now, as I said, they were predominantly Anglo, and I was one of the very, very few. I was the only Helene who didn't try to fit in, who didn't try to act and become like them. There were one or two others, but they were sellouts, right? And yeah, the racism was quite bad. And it reached a point where my attitude was, well, look at you. Scrawny, pink-skinned, peroxide blonde, bong-smoking, surfy little cunts. Why the fuck would I want to be like you? And because of that, I was one of the very few people in our entire year who was used as the butt of their jokes. But that is what it is. I thank them because they enabled me to be the individualist that I am today. So when I hear Americans bleating mindlessly about black versus white, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Yes, so shock horror. There's other cultural perspectives other than your own. Oh no! Watching the football match the other day, it was Inter Milan versus Liverpool. Now, at the beginning, before the whistle was blown and the match began, Inter Milan, they were standing around as you do. Now, what did the Liverpool team do? They were taking the knee, right? Like good little fucking mindless drones. And the Inter Milan guys are looking at them as if to say, what the fuck are you doing? So this whole woke thing is really contained in the Anglo world. US, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and Britain. Every time I've seen a British football team play a European club team, the only ones doing this silly thing of this silly American thing of taking the knee are the British teams. None of the Europeans do. Now, the European club teams have people from many different countries, many different shades of skin, and they don't give a fuck about that nonsense, because it's nonsense. They don't give a fuck about racism. They don't give a fuck about women. They don't give a fuck about black people or retarded people or trans or fuck knows whatever ism you're going to invent out of your backside. They don't give a fuck. Get that into your head, maybe you'll start getting somewhere. Anyway, I think we'll leave our little rant there for the day. Just this race one always sort of gets me going, because I know what it's like to experience direct racism, and by other pale-skinned people, right? Which is why this whole American white thing pisses me off. And yes, as always, to speak the truth is a lonely path. And I wonder how many other subs I'm going to lose but for daring to speak the truth. The sarcastic, irreverent lone wolf on guitar, out.